Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawes County Board of Commissioner voting session. Day's Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. Appreciate those of you that are here with us in attendance, as well as those that are with us online. We'll start out with a roll call. And as you can see, all the commissioners are here. I ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. Would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name, we do ask and pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements? Any announcements? Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on February 17th, 2022. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
I wasn't present.
And those minutes are approved, 3 with 1 abstention. All right, we'll move on to the minutes of the voting session held on February 17th, 2022. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those minutes are approved, 3 with 1 abstention. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. I do have 2 changes to the agenda, the additions number 4 and 5 under new business. Request to require Sheriff's Office K-9 Pele and transfer ownership to original handler Chad Mobley, and that's via resolution, which we read earlier, and then a resolution in opposition to House Bill 1093 and Senate Bill 494 concerning land use decisions, primarily rental. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with those 2 changes.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved 4-0 with those 2 changes. No one signed up for public comment in this segment.
No, sir.
We'll move on to unfinished business. Special use permit request 21-07. Greg Spence on behalf of Verizon Wireless requests a special use of tax map parcel 049-001 for the purpose of placing a telecommunication tower. Highway 52 East, this was tabled from the December 16th, 2021 voting session, at which time a public hearing was held and was tabled from the February 3rd, 2022 voting session, as we waited on a report back from the third party in reference to the tower. And so that is back, and Ms. Sharon is here to go over that report.
Yes, the third party by the name of Level Up out of an engineering firm. They did go through the application and all the information provided by the applicant. They did determine that it was a complete application, and their final recommendation was that the tower be approved. They illustrated, they clearly illustrated the gap in Verizon coverage. They clarified the FCC will regulate the RF exposure. They reviewed Verizon sites within a 5-mile radius and found there's not an existing structure by which a co-location could be designed that would reach the standard of the 80% coverage. They reviewed their frequency, TX and RX bands, and found those appropriate. And at such time, they pull a building permit. Excuse me. They did recommend that we have them update if they will change their antenna type, their antenna beam, antenna gain. There's a lot of technology changes quickly, and it may be some time before they actually put the equipment on a tower or build the tower. So that's the only thing they recommended, that at such time in the future, we get an update on the actual equipment. But again, the final conclusion was that everything was appropriate in the application and that the special use application be approved.
Questions for Sharon?
Is part of this decision what the tower's gonna look like? Are we gonna be able to specify
No.
if it's gonna be
this
a
is-
tree? It's gonna-
No, it's just strictly a technical approach.
Okay.
Yes.
This is required in our ordinance. that
It
we
is
have a
required in
third-party
our
review.
ordinance.
I understand that, but are we gonna have some kind of say-so in what the tower does look like?
We were not provided with aesthetic options with the application.
Oh, okay.
It is what was presented. It's a smaller tower. As far as
Mhm.
towers go, it's a smaller tower.
Mhm.
It's been moved to avoid any variances. You have an updated survey.
Mhm.
And they've met all the requirements. It was just an oversight on staff. I'm told that years ago in the 90s, when all the towers started, there was concern that people were building towers without having providers to lease that to. So that's where this third party report, and as in most ordinances, Oregon adopted it, so Florida looked at, so everybody added it to their code. Whether it serves a true purpose or not, we'll never know. But we have it.
Mhm.
Other questions for Sharon? Thank you. What is the pleasure of the board?
So, I guess conversation for the board in legal. A decision on something like this. Aesthetics really cannot come into play from a legal perspective, I guess is my question. It appears based on the study that the applicant has met all the criteria that Dawson County has. However, it's not something I think that's aesthetically pleasing. And so is there ability for the board to deny it based on aesthetics?
I think perhaps before you consider taking that step, you might entertain a discussion with the applicant to see what they might agree to from a condition standpoint.
Yeah. Want to hear what the applicant has to say as far as just what it looks like.
Okay,
I do.
An
I
applicant
don't know
come
what
up-
it's gonna look like.
come on up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is David Kirk, 600 Peachtree Street, representing Verizon Wireless. We did provide staff with a comparison between the sort of standard monopole and what we would call a monopine, which is the camouflage to look like a pine tree. We're happy to do, if it is the board's decision to move forward with this and approve it, we're happy to build either of those options at the board's pleasure.
I know at one time we talked a little bit on the board during this discussion portion in reference to the aesthetics of the pole.
Mhm.
And I think we talked about that maybe the fake tree look will look worse than the actual pole itself. I think that was some of the conversation that we did have during one of the meetings.
That would be my opinion.
But there's more, like I say, those are the options. I mean, obviously, they can make it look like a pine tree, but
Hmm.
if you call that a pine tree.
Mhm.
What about something a little more in the middle instead of just having a gray galvanized or concrete pole? What if it was just a green or more, something that might blend in a little bit more? Is that an option?
Let me ask Greg Spence, he's our technical expert here.
Talking about painting it.
Yeah, just where it doesn't, something that doesn't catch your eye immediately. If you can say that a cell tower wouldn't do that in any way, but
Commissioner Greg Spence, 86 Bull River Bluff Drive, Savannah. I would say that the galvanized gray truly does blend in more with the sky than a green or blue or a purple pole. it would, we would be able to paint it whatever color. It would just require a good bit of maintenance, long-term maintenance to be able to maintain the color of that. The galvanized gray is typically, it does not have any glare, which is one of the pieces that when you start painting those structures, you got to have the right type of paint, and so forth, to be able to maintain a dull finish that's not refracting light back. The trees have come a long way from what
Have
they
they?
used.
Oh, I've just seen some and just, I mean, if you think we're fooled that that's a tree, we're not.
Sure.
I mean, because it's up there by itself, and I thought surely there's not a tree that tall.
It's a compromise that, and, I mean, the structure, it's hard to find a structure that's that tall. I mean, that's why we go through the painstaking process of trying to co-locate. Verizon does not want to spend the infrastructure, the money to build towers. They would far prefer to co-locate when possible.
Other questions?
Oh, after this is built, what kind of maintenance do you do? What are you gonna put around the base of it? What's it gonna look like?
It would be within, as I think indicated on the site plan, it'd be within about 100 by 100 or 80 by 80 chain link fence with landscaping around the outside. As far as maintenance of the facility, once it's in, typically once a month, the technician will come by and make sure everything is running well, that the compound looks as it should, but very little in terms of, traffic in and out.
Mhm, mhm.
If I could add, one piece is that they have national contracts, or at least in Georgia and Alabama, Verizon has contracts for their cell sites where they have maintenance of those compounds that, as required for weed control and things of that nature, make sure that the fencing is still appropriate. And that type of thing. Then there's the structural analysis for every time they do an upgrade on the tower, they structure, you have to have your permitting and so forth to be able to make those modifications to the tower. Any additional carrier on the tower would still have to go through that same process as well.
We just had the problem, everybody knows we had a cell tower or years ago. We've sold that, but we could never get them to maintain it. They told us, we'll maintain the road and we'll maintain the landscape, and it just didn't happen. So I hope you will do that. But my experience has been that it just didn't happen. So I just like for people to do what they say they're going to do.
Yes, ma'am.
And I just want to make sure of that. And then we won't do something that is unobtrusive as possible. And, as far as I'm concerned, I just don't care for the tree. You're showing some that the tree looks a little better, but I'm still,
That's just what's on our packet.
yeah, not impressed, with it, so.
Can y'all disclose, I mean, who approached y'all about putting that location? Is that something Verizon did a study, or? I mean, how y'all come up with the location?
Verizon's engineers, they're radio frequency engineers, but they direct us to go into a specific ring and find candidates that are able to take it through. So that was not us, that was Verizon directly that hired my company to go locate the property.
Other questions? Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, pleasure of the board.
I'll just say this is just such a difficult decision. What do you? Can he? speak?
No, we already had the public hearing.
Okay. Such a difficult decision. Here we go with, the pancake. There's two sides to it, and I understand obstructing views and, looking and seeing all this, but really all the i's have been dotted and the t's have been crossed. And I really, I would like to deny it, just to be honest. I just have to be forthcoming, but based on what all they've done, all the work's been done, and what Sharon Farrell said, they've done everything that ordinances require. Is that right? Everything is required, so, you know, I wish it would be different, but I'm gonna have to make a motion that it be approved.
Motion to approve SU 2107 by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion.
I'll just echo quickly what Sharon said. I think that there's a lot of times in this role that we have to make tough decisions, and you know, we recently last year encountered a tough decision. We didn't want billboards, and we went through a very lengthy and costly litigation on that. We wound up still getting billboards. So in order to, if there's a chance of being in a position where we're going to win a lawsuit, then I say we take it. However, with all the legalities of this situation, and they meet everything that our ordinance and law requires, that's been put in place long before this board. You know, I don't like it, but
We can't vote against our own ordinances and our own rules and regulations. You know, we just can't do it. but-
And I echo the same thing. It's been, it's one of those things that you don't like, but it's,
Mhm.
if it goes any further and we turn it down, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna cost us a lot of money.
That's
It's what I feel
That's right.
on it. And
Mhm. Mhm. That's true. It's tough. It's tough.
it'll cost us a lot of money with the same exact
Mm-hmm.
outcome.
Any other discussion? A motion and a second. Hearing none, please vote. And SU 2107 is approved 3-1. All right, we move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of driveway permitting information. That was brought to us by our Public Works Director. Basically, requesting, where do we go from here? So that's where we stand. There was some options that you had, you know, she brought a permitting fee. We currently don't do a permitting fee.
Mhm.
She brought an option of where we would put the pipe in. That was not a recommendation that she would make, that we would put the pipe in, because they don't have the staff for that, obviously. David, anything else in reference to that you want to add? So I guess to establish a fee, this is a legal question. I'll ask you this, Jeff. Does that require us to have a public hearing to add that to our fee schedule? No, sir. Okay. All right. So,
that's because we did it as an exhibit
yeah,
in last time in our ordinance, we filled that out. So
Oh, that's right. That's
now
right.
it's just a resolution.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Any other information needed from the board? All right. So what do y'all want to do?
When
Think
would
of-
this be effective today? if
As soon
we
as you
approve
voted
it?
on it,
Oh,
I
okay.
think, the way it was put together, and that was a $250 fee, correct, David?
Uh-huh.
If you want to go that route.
make a motion that we approve the driveway permit at an amount of $250, and we edit our fee schedule.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gaines,
Second.
second from Commissioner Dooley. Discussion.
And I know we talked about it at the work session. Y'all are still planning on having, how many site visits? Was that 2 or 3? 2, 1.
We're gonna do a 3-month and then a final. We
Yeah.
have been doing just a final pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cause they'll go out and look at it before they issue the permit. And then mid development, at some point, they'll go check to make sure that it's installed properly, and then it'll be issued at the final. When the
But
project.
go the second trip before the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause if you go to the final, concrete pour.
But you're already inspecting them now, or we're just not charging for it.
At the end,
But
at the
first-
beginning and the end. We're never gonna do a middle.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I think if there's an opportunity to, I think it'll go over better if there's an opportunity to say that, no, this is incorrect earlier rather than
That's
later.
right.
The only caveat is that with this comes more workload on your team.
Yes.
And we need to make sure that we are being very diligent and timely in getting these things done, so we don't prevent issues for contractors that are backed up and things like that. So it does put more work on your team, but we need to be very efficient and effective with our permitting processes and inspections.
And it'll basically just be one additional trip than what we're doing now. So hopefully we can, fit that in.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. That's approved 4-0. We'll move on to number 3, consideration to move forward to a public hearing for a request to amend the Dawson County sign ordinance, chapter 129. We discussed that a couple
Can we
weeks
do
ago.
number 2?
Oh, number
do
2,
number
yes, do
two.
number 2 first.
Yeah. Okay.
Skip that one. Consideration of request to seek design and cost estimate for special needs field at Rock Creek Park. This is just to send it out for the design and the cost estimate. This is not approval of anything other than that.
Mhm.
Any other information needed? Motion.
Most approved.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield. Second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration to move forward to a public hearing for a request to amend the Dawson County sign ordinance, chapter 129. Ms. Sharon presented that to us at our last meeting. Is there any other information needed? Any questions for Ms. Sharon? Motions?
Motion to approve. Move forward with a public hearing. Excuse me.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Fawcett to move forward to a public hearing.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that will move forward to a public hearing. Do we have a date for that?
It will be March 17th.
March 17th. All right. Thank you. We'll move on to number 4. Request to retire Sheriff's Office K-9 Pele and transfer ownership to original handler Chad Mobley. And that was via resolution, which we read earlier today. Any other information needed?
Lots.
Motions.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second,
second by Commissioner
game.
Gaines. Forgot your name. All of a sudden there. All right, I'm getting older.
I'm with you, Bill.
Any other discussion? I was going to say Chris, but I wouldn't want to do that.
Mhm.
All right, so hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Please take care of him. Thank you.
Yes, take good care of that dog.
Thank you.
Bill wants that toy.
And thank him for the good job he's done.
All right,
He seems like he
Number
got plenty of
5.
Energy now.
next up, we have a resolution in opposition to House Bill 1093 and Senate Bill 494 concerning land use decisions. Basically, these House bills would take control away from local governments in reference to rental. So that is the reason you have this resolution in front of you in opposition, if you so desire. So is there any other information needed?
Do we know who sponsored this bill?
That's
we
what I
ask
asked.
I don't know offhand. We can
Mhm.
certainly get that information offline, but I don't know.
Just curious.
Me too.
Yeah, you can look it up.
And there's two, there's a House bill and a Senate bill.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Motions.
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Fawcett,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. I got it. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, please vote. And our opposition to those is approved so we will let you send that. Or whoever needs to send that
Yes,
for
sir, thank
us to get that done. All right, and anyone sign up for public comment in this segment? All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thanks everyone for their attendance as well as those who came and joined us online.